Yeah, welcome. Monza. Let's do Monza. So just as a bit of a heads up, as like a starting point, I checked out some of your data that you've already been generating, just to see if there are any differences or what they are to begin with. I don't know if were you on the same like default setup? Yeah, Monza. Yeah, just the standard Monza. So we're on the same setup and everything. Sorry, go on. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. I imagine this is a very, very different setup on the iRacing default to the Phillip Island one. So, but this one that you did here at least was definitely Monza because I can see that. So just as like an overview, like as like a head start, so we can at least point in the right direction before I've even seen you drive today. Assuming the conditions are roughly the same, and they do look roughly the same on the Garage 61 info there. You're very similar to what I'm doing in a lot of places. I actually learnt slightly from your data. I went and did a first run, and then I looked at the data and I saw I was losing on the straights because I was actually leaving it in gear too long. So you were pulling away from me at the end of the straights because you were shifting at the right time. I hadn't reset my steering wheel up to show the right shift lights for this car, so I wasn't using the turbo correctly in this car. I was kind of letting it rev too high. So that's something I noticed. But anyway, you're doing it correctly, so you don't need to worry about that. But turn one, for example, like we're really, really similar. Um, there's a small time loss, but we'll look at the detail, but that's like the smallest part. There are some other sections, and it's not really about late braking. You're not like braking too early or anything. It's, I think, about how much curb you're choosing to use in the chicanes and how much emphasis you're putting on the entry rather than the exit, based on what I can see here anyway. So just for example, into the second chicane, and I don't know all the names of these chicanes. I'm slower than you in the middle, but I have a much, much faster exit. I think maybe you went wide here. Yeah, in fact, you can see you did go wide on this one. So that's probably exaggerated. We might not see that once you do some laps today. So, but even without that, you can see you're going in a bit deeper and then it's a bit tighter. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'll wait until we've actually seen you drive it today. But it looks like you were basically trying to go through the middle of the first chicane slightly quicker than me. So we'll take a look at that. Next corner, so the first of the two Lesmos. That was kind of slightly different. I was going in quicker than you. You were coming out quicker. But that's actually, although it looks really different between our two versions there's one of the smaller differences in terms of lap time. So that's your 8 tenths down there. And when we get to here, you're still like 8 tenths down. So we'll take a view on whether or not we actually get you to change it if it's not really making that much difference. Second, sorry, go on. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I am. Although again, like I say, it's not making a whole lot of difference in terms of the total lap time. I'm braking later, but you're carrying a little bit better exit speed. It's kind of swings and roundabouts, but yeah, I'm using the downforce to just go in a bit faster and then come off slightly slower. I think one of the big one, or the big ones, are going to be the two final corners. So the Ascari chicane and then Parabolica at the end. This is where there's quite a considerable mid-corner speed difference, and it's quite simple. Like it's simple to see where the time loss is, but it might be quite hard to put into practice a difference. I'm just basically going through the middle quicker, so trusting the car more, carrying more speed through both of them. Your braking trace looks really good on both of them, so I think that will just be a case of braking slightly later and trusting the car to go through the middle quicker. But our inputs are quite similar. It's just I'm not slowing it down as much each time, and then there's quite a big associated time loss. So through Ascari, for example, you're losing half a second just through that corner. So if we can change that, that's going to be a massive time gain. And then Parabolica, it's difficult to see because it blends onto the next lap, but if we assume it's kind of it's back to neutral by the start line, even there, that is a couple of tenths. So that's the biggest one by the looks of it, Ascari. So let's just, oh, hang on, what's the first, second chicane. Second chicane doesn't look massively different on the speed trace. But when you look at the delta, we go from 2.5 tenths. Yeah, that's half a second. Okay, so it's second chicane and Ascari. They're the two big time losses that if we can fix those, there's a second between those two. So even if we find half of that, that's a great jump. But see what you like in this exact session in these conditions, and we'll go from there. But you're not a million miles away anywhere. It's going to be a small tweak that's going to gain quite a big amount of time. So let's. Okay. Let's do it. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I tried to keep up with it. I was unbelievably busy that the weekend. So, like, hang on, sorry, let me just turn. Yeah, so it's not a thing I've really done before. I've been like the analysis pundit, but so yeah, basically those days are like 16-hour days, and you're non-stop. You barely get any time. So, I almost didn't even have time to eat on those days, so I wasn't keeping up to date very well. I tried to catch up with all the messages, so it looked like there was some incidents through the race. Is that? I watched some crashes. Okay. Ah, okay. Okay. That's okay, it's okay. It's an outlap, that's fine. Okay.
Major mistake, so it ended up being a lot of fun.
Okay. Okay, well, cool. That's good. It's always a good experience. I'm just sorry I wasn't there to, like, help out and give any guidance or do any driving. But hopefully for the next one, I've got a really crazy busy year. But I'm going to stop talking and let you actually drive. Now you've got some temperature.
Too much curb.
I think it was more missing the first curb meant you had an unavoidable amount of curb at the second part.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
I love driving single-seaters around Monza. When you're in the flow and it's just threading the needle through the next corner, through Ascari in particular, I just love it.
Yeah. Now if I can just avoid turn one crashes. hit the grass.
I'm just looking back at exactly where you brake there. So whilst you recover on this lap, I'm just looking at exactly what went wrong at turn 1. Okay, so you're after the 100-metre board. Okay, yeah, so you attempted to brake probably 30 metres later than I braked for turn 1 on that lap. Oh, I'm going to just remove your slowdown.
Meanwhile, that second chicane was really good.
I'm just watching it back now. Oh yeah, way more first curve that time. That's much better. I'm going to give you some pretty specific pointers on this track. There's some real dots that you have to hit to unlock each corner in terms of positioning. So once you've done this run, we'll talk about those. Well done for getting that under control, because that could have very easily been a bit impossible to get through if you'd been like a metre deeper.
That seems to be how I always end up taking that turn, even at my best.
I'm going to let you do a few more laps before we kind of take it as how you would naturally drive the track, but we're going to be really specific for some things on this circuit. Don't worry, the car will magically repair in just a moment.
I'm just trying to do different things as opposed to driving it.
Yeah, that was I think essentially a little bit too fast for the line we were on through the first part, and you ended up really deep and just kept your foot in and hoped.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice curb. Yeah, that's nice. So that, I think, is about exactly the right amount that you should be using through there. So let's just do maybe 2 more clean ones after this, because I don't want to waste any time in giving you information. But this is a decent one.
Yeah, that was more indicative of how I take the Lesmos.
Yeah, okay. So I know that wasn't obviously ideal, but I'll clear that off track.
Yeah.
Just carry on as if that didn't happen, just so we've got like data from this lap.
Yep.
You know, if there's any opportunity to do the rest of the track any different or slightly better or faster than you did before, then at least we've got that on there.
There's a purple.
Nice.
I think lighter but more sustained braking. It's bad.
So you can actually run out onto that green with like half the car and not getting off track normally. But okay.
Yeah, I never quite know how far I can go out there.
Do you want to just attempt one more with a clean turn one? Because you did the rest of the lap really well on that lap.
Yeah. Try it, I guess.
If it goes wrong though, we'll just abandon it.
You know what? I'm going to abandon it because
Yeah,
my
no problem.
my alarm is going off.
Yeah,
So
that's fine. That's fine. So we'll take the fastest one. Just hop out of the cockpit there and I'll grab the one that was like a couple of laps before. Let's just load that in. But yeah, there's some real good stuff we can talk about here, which will, I think, gain quite a lot of time. It's not coming up yet. Come on, data. Here we go. Right, let's take this 44.0. Although you got purples in the second half of the lap, on the lap afterwards. Right, okay. So let's get rid of your previous best one, just so it's not confusing things. Let's change us around. Right, okay. So let's go through starting with turn one. Okay. So braking point isn't too late on this one, which was your fastest. Line and braking point and braking style all look really good. And I know we're losing half a second total, but this is like, we're losing half a second because you're doing everything like in the right direction. Everything is kind of almost there, but you're just very slightly cautious on the brakes, and obviously slightly cautious getting on the throttle too, actually. And those things together added up to half a second. But in terms of technique, you're doing everything right. You're ticking all the boxes. We just have to sharpen it up. So turn one, essentially you can brake how many meters later? So that's 794. So like 10-ish meters later. So let's just bring up that lap just to see exactly where that is. Let's get the view slightly higher so we can see more of a specific point. Right, so you were braking just before the 100, and yep. I think the braking point is just after the 100, but I mean it's pretty much on the limit if you do that. So you're not far off at all. Let's just watch you through here, because it's the positioning that's going to be the main thing. Right, okay, so I like that. Let's go. I need a different... This far chase is a bit of a weird... I don't know what's going on with it. Maybe I can reset this camera. So is there a default one? Okay, no, it seems to be the same. Just trying to get like a slightly better perspective, because I want to see high enough, but I also want you to see what's in front. Okay, let's just go with that. Yeah, so I think that's a good amount of curb there. This is all good as well. What happened on the exit? Oh, we just didn't run wide enough. That's what it looked like on the GPS here as well. So if you just allow yourself to run wider, you'll just be able to get on the power slightly harder. Like, you see where my throttle is just like always increasing, even it's quite smooth but always increasing. You had like this hesitation where you just stayed away from the edge. So that there was half of the half a second. Like two and a half of the 5/10 was just this. By pinching it, you restricted yourself getting on the gas, and obviously then that impacts you down a really long straight. So that's quite an easy fix. So if you can nail turn 1 pretty much like you did there, with just a slightly later brake and running slightly wider, you've got turn 1 done. And you know you can see we're matching each other really well in terms of what the speed trace looks like there. Anytime I do a thing, you're doing a thing. Even on the brake trace, look at this extra little bit you do here, just to get it to turn left. This is all really, really similar. So that's good. Then, right, okay, so then let's look in second chicane. This is where we're a bit different. Okay, so you're braking earlier, slowing it down less dramatically. You see your line's obviously much shallower, mine's steeper. But then you go through the middle quicker and then come off slower. So let's just watch and see why that was. Like, what did it actually look like? Because there's quite a lot of differences there. Right, okay, so first thing, we're giving away space on the right. So we're going to just maximise the space right up to the white line. I know it's small, but I know I say this all the time. Each one of these little differences is going to add up, especially when you're on in a tight chicane. Then I think you used a good amount of curb there, but it feels, I don't know, I'm going to look at mine in a moment. It feels like we're at a tighter angle here, like because maybe we're going slightly slower on the approach, you then sweep in tighter? No. I think it maybe is a deceptive view here. If we go above, maybe it won't look like that. Let's just go above. I think it's just the weird angle that we're at that's making it look like that. So anyway, you're using curb, so that's good. Right, but then at this point here, okay, I think it's the speed you go into the corner just here pushes you this little bit deeper to this one, which then makes this corner really tight and you're forced to use the sausage curb. And that, I think, is then what slows you down. And you've got a bit of exit curb left to use. Just going to watch it through in full speed. Oh, it's really subtle. It's really, really subtle. Actually, the data trace...
It looks a lot better when you...
yeah, that actually looks good through there. But it's the small details. It's the fact that I think you're slightly deep here, which means you're slightly too high on this curb, and then you don't allow yourself to go all the way wide on this curb. Just for comparison, let's watch a full speed run through that I did through there and see whether it looks different. Right, here we go. So, I'm on the white line. There's my, 1 metre wider entry.
I see that.
Okay, more curb. So I am using more. It didn't feel like it watching yours, but I'm definitely opening it up with more curb here. It's like all 4 wheels on, basically, climbing over it. And then I'm not forced onto the sausage curb. And look how much less deep you were over here somewhere. And because I've used the curb, I'm almost literally diagonal from that curb to that curb. I've just got way more space to turn in. And on the exit, going right out to the edge. So the space it really starts back here. That amount of room there allows me to really go wide to wide, like full track width. At every opportunity, wide, full inside, maximum up to the sausage curb, full wide. That's what allows the extra speed. So that's what we'll kind of aim to go, like point to point to point to point. But what I didn't see from your view was actually how much extra curb I was using here. Obviously the data there shows it quite a lot. So, okay, so it's the using more curb there, or aiming to use more curb there, frees up this bit, and then obviously allowing the car to run wider there. That's then going to gain us quite a chunk of time. That is, what's that, 6/10 to there, so that is 6/10. That section will be 6/10 if you can nail that. And again, even if you halve that, it's still 3, that's quite a lot. Now let's go back to you. Let's get back onto here. Right, okay. So, into the first of the Lesmos. Let's go on board, actually, because I can't really see through the corner from up here. Where did it say cockpit? Why can't I see cockpit? There. I think that was reasonably good through there. Let's look at it on here. Yeah, so actually, interestingly, here's your Lesmos here. You slow it down a little early and you get on the power a little early, but by the time you get to the mid corner and the exit, we're basically identical. So, like, here onwards, we're doing the same thing. So, you know how much grip you've got in the middle, but you've just over cautiously slowed it down to get in. So, that you pointed it out when we looked earlier on your other bit of data. You're braking early and sharp, and I'm braking late and gently. And in this occasion, it isn't swings and roundabouts. My one is definitely faster, so there's quite a chunk of time here.
Right.
So there, even though it's a really short section, it's just 190-degree corner. If we go from here, 1.243. So there's 0.2 just from sending it in a little faster. So basically, you can stay in the same gear. I'm going up and then down, but that's fine. That doesn't really matter. You can just stay in fourth. But just lift and brake later for it and get it turned in smoothly. You're doing a pretty similar thing to what I'm doing. Look, the line is really similar through there. Exit, at this point, okay, it's a tiny, tiny difference, but that probably changes lap to lap. I think what you're aiming for is exactly what I'm aiming for. It's just I'm carrying more speed and using the downforce. And it can clearly take it, because like at this point in the corner, I'm going 20k quicker. This point, 15k quicker. Obviously, it narrows as we get towards the apex and beyond, but you can just go in a bit faster to Lesmo 1. As long as you keep that accuracy, as long as you hit the same apex and you trail the brake in, you probably can't make that speed if you're not doing this little 13% brake. I'm doing a real trail up to the apex there, but that's some time. What happens on this one? This is a cumulative, quite a big time loss in second Lesmo, because it impacts you down this long straight. So here it's 1.4. Yeah, okay, so there's another couple of...
that second little brake application. I didn't brake.
Yeah.
Looks like I didn't brake hard enough in the
exactly.
second brake application because I was carrying too much speed.
Yeah, you realised, but I watched you a few times go in very narrow here. So let's watch this on the video. This is probably going to be quite obvious when we see your steering input. I'm going to go slow-mo. You turn in gently, and then you have to kind of stop turning and then turn again because you've turned in a bit early. So if you watch your steering input, we turn in, you wait, and then we do the big turn. And we do this big turn like after the apex. So now, you see that loader lock you have to crank on, which is quite different to back here where you're like gently turning it in. This shows you've gone in a bit early. And you can see on the data, this was a consistent thing. You see your red line starts to go in, and then that means by the time you get here, the corner that you've got in front of you is just tighter than mine. Like, your angle means that you're facing over to the gravel here, and mine isn't. So, yeah, and look at our steering traces. Actually, this is one of the more obvious steering trace differences. I wonder if we can zoom in a little bit. You see how here, you're turning in slightly more than me, like 11 degrees. That's that shallow entry. That's what causes shallow entry. Here, you hold off because you're already pointing in. And here, you're really having to hold off, where mine is now kind of a consistent level of increasing. It's like one input and then a reduction. And right at the point I'm starting to reduce the steering is where you get to your maximum. And that's all because of that early turn. In a nutshell, just hold off the turn-in point slightly. Okay. Wait until slightly later. I'm trying to think. There's no reference here. There's nothing there to look at. But I'm just like looking into the corner. At this point here, my eyes are over here somewhere. But I'm trying to track straighter along the white line until I can kind of see the exit slightly. I wonder if it is obvious at all from the onboard. It might not be. I'll just see if I can see if it's more obvious when you've got a comparison. So it's here. We'll do full speed. It's really hard to spot a difference. But when I go, it's this, and then reduction. It's quite subtle, especially at the speed that you're going, but essentially go slightly straighter for slightly longer. If I go in slow-mo, it's brake, down, then in, and I think maybe yours is happening a little bit more at the same time, that's all.
I'm doing it at the same time, definitely.
Yeah, it's like brake, down, in. Yeah, you've already started turning. In fact, I think you start turning here, you've already got 5 degrees on, before you've even lifted. And then you brake, and you've already got 16 degrees on at that point. So I think just delay it slightly, basically. Right, then we've got Ascari. This looks better than before. Both of these corners look better than they did on your earlier data, I think. You're
Those were
going
good.
in. You're going in a bit quicker, but this, for some reason, we've still slowed down more. So why are we still slowing down more? Okay, it's not enough curb. This is going to be really the big deal, I think, using more curb. So this is me, since we're on board with me already, into Ascari. So right up to the nasty, horrible curves, but not quite on them. And then again, right up to them there. And again, right up to them there. And on the exit.
And I've realized they're not as horrible as Imola. Like you
Okay.
can actually touch them sometimes and not immediately die, unlike Imola, where if you breathe on it, it kills you.
Let's see just how much you're using. Yeah, we're nowhere near. So that's why you can't carry the same speed. You're trying to. Like, you can see here, like, you're going in nice and deep. There's only a small gap there in the braking zone. By here, you're, like, doing the same speed. But, yeah, that gap is the difference. I always find, going through the Scari here, I find the most time by really treating it like a faster corner than I think of it at first. Like, treating it like a real high-speed flick. But I have to be quite straight. I can't get it turned in late with more lock. I want to go in. This is like the opposite to what we were just talking about on the previous corner. I go in quite early with a little lock and really kind of go curb, 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 like really try and hook each of them up. So that one has pushed you deep here. And obviously the angle that you're coming off this curb at is harder because you've gone in so deep. And again, quite a big gap there. So it's those things. And on the exit, you're fine. Like there's loads of gravel everywhere, but it's the first curb, and it's both of the left-hand curbs basically. It's the left and the left. That's what's going to set you up for higher speed through there, and then Parabolica. Let's watch what happens here. Last one. I think we might be using too much there. Right. So when I go through here, what I'm thinking is I want to kiss the curb over here and immediately run wide, like carriers. And I'm not like telling it to run wide. It's just the speed I'm carrying. If I hit that curb at the speed I want to go through here, it's going to send me wide. But the further through the corner I get, the higher my speed's getting, the more downforce I've got, and the corner starts to open. So provided when you go wide out here, you're not going wider, 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 and getting more and more and more and more on the green. Provided as you arrive at the green, your widening is kind of slowing, then you can just keep your foot down, go with it, and then bring it back. But I think you're trying to keep it tighter all the way through here, which is going to artificially restrict how much speed you're happy to carry in. And I think that's why when we go through here, your braking trace looks really nice, by the way. It just starts a bit too soon. But you're earlier on the power, but you're earlier on the power because you've slowed it right down to 157. And yeah, look how much tighter you're keeping it through there. So your distance is good, but I think it's this here to here. How much time loss is that? So it's 0.3 there to there. And although you do pull back 0.5 tenth, you actually then start to lose it again because although your distance is shorter, my momentum is now carrying like a greater effect at this point. So you're gaining a teeny bit here because you're carrying fewer meters, but because I've sent it in faster and then the momentum kind of carries me around, it is definitely better to do this kind of kiss and wide. I know I've said loads of stuff in this little debrief, and I want to get you doing more laps, but I just want to get to that last corner. I think it's mainly curbs in other sections, and here for Parabolica, it's like kiss, and then full throttle immediately, letting it run to here, and then hooking it back, if that makes sense. It's just what allows you to be full throttle from there.
And you're turning much later than I think I am.
So let's take a look at that then. So I don't know how many meters that is, but yeah, we can kind of say 50 meter board roughly, just past the 50 meter board. And the real main turn happens kind of in this little triangle between the painted area and the grass there. That's how the car looks. Let's look at yours then. Well spotted, probably. Let's have a look.
At least it feels like you're braking or you're turning later.
We're about to find out. Here we go. Oh, I've just gone straight past it. Yeah, you're completely right. Look how early yours is. So we said mine was at the 50-meter board or just past. It was like there where my cursor is, that little triangle.
Yep.
So that's where I am, just there. And yeah, you've already gone.
Before
And
the
then
50
you go.
meter board. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can just delay it slightly, but then when, and that's probably it's probably partly why you're also slowing down more. But I think allow yourself the freedom to end up over there somewhere. Don't worry about trying to stay tight here. If you've gone in quick enough, you won't have a choice. You'll have to end up over here somewhere. So that'll be the difference. But main things then. Okay, turn one we said was great. So basically keep that the same. You can brake slightly later, but that's it. Turn two, getting it over that apex curb there significantly will really open up the second bit and let it run all the way wide on the exit. Lesmo 1, we said just go in faster. So same gear as you're currently doing, but later brake, trail the brake to the apex, carry more speed, and just make sure you're accurate with the curb. As long as you're focused on getting to that inside curb, it will go there at a higher speed as long as you're trailing on the way in. That's what will make sure the nose goes in. Second one, turn in later. Second Lesmo, we edged in a little early and then were forced deep. So you'll be able to go through there faster and get back on the power earlier if you turn in slightly later. Then Ascari, it was all about the curb. So you can brake a little bit later, but the main focus is on using left curb maximally and the next left curb maximally. That'll just guide you, that'll give you the extra speed through there. That space will mentally open up the speed you carry through there too. And then final corner, Parabolica, later turn in, give yourself the freedom to carry more speed because you're going to hit that apex, but you don't have to stay there. You can hit it, flow to the outside, and just keep your foot down. That's it. So do those things once the tyres are warm, though. Don't be tempted to do it on lap one because you'll just like frighten yourself into thinking I don't actually have the grip if you try it on the out lap or on turn one. So, but the curbs are the big thing, I think. So let's do it.
All right.
Sorry that took so long.
No, that's all right. This is helpful. When I am going, I kind of watched this yesterday. I was battling someone going into turn one.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess I was on the inside, but we ended up kind of crossing each other at both parts of the chicane. And I think he was a lot more cautious than I was. And I didn't have control of the car enough to keep it tight. But I guess I'm better served, trying to keep it tight there or just lifting and letting him go, which is something I learned during the endurance races. It's better just to lift, but right.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I shouldn't be kind of going across his nose. I didn't save it, but I should have.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of to comment on it. I kind of need to see how it played out and the relative positions, but you are inevitably going to have to cross. It's too tight to not kind of traverse the track width through there. So if there's a danger of crossing into someone, obviously like through them, then yeah, you're right. Definitely. Well done for using that curb, by the way. Get on this one as well. Definitely slowing down and focusing on just coming off the corner cleanly is probably the best idea. I'm going to try and do some races here this week, so I'll be able to give you slightly better info if I get any time. So obviously on cold tyres and going slightly wide at the apex there, you do run out of space. But once everything's warm, it will go through there better. One other thing I didn't tell you, I moved my brake bias back like 3 clicks.
I'm at 56 right now.
Okay. What was I at? It's probably similar. I'll look once you're through here. Okay, yeah, I was at 56.5, but yeah, I probably would have carried on going backwards with more running, to be honest.
I think I didn't have enough engine braking there.
I think at turn 1, just watching it back there, you were a little bit too far past the 100-meter board when you braked. It was just like slightly too low. That was a much better turning point there. Like, and now you can actually carry more speed because you see you had quite a lot of exit curb left. So now you're getting that line into Lesmo too, right? You can probably carry out a bit more speed. So we'll get it
Not
slow.
enough curb.
Yeah, I think that's because we probably tried to brake a bit too late for it. So
Yep.
that's okay. It's going to take a moment to fine tune yourself at exactly where you're pointing the car now because we're aiming in a different position.
So I'm getting back on the power too early. I'm not getting close enough to the curb before I start applying power, I think.
So I think you also actually I think it's difficult to tell without looking at the data on the relative speed, but it didn't want to get to the apex. We might have turned in a tiny bit too late that time, or been going a tiny bit too fast. It's definitely more important to be slightly more accurate on the way in and then reap the benefits on the way out, if you see what I mean. You'll make up much more time through the middle and on the exit than you will from like 2 meters later on the brakes. I certainly found when my Delta was going red in the braking zone, it'd then go massively green through the middle on the exit. I mean, your first couple of sectors there, certainly your sector you're on there until that corner was looking really decent.
I just did a Alonso in turn 1. I don't know if he actually did that here, but I know he's done that before.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're accurate. We just want to be doing that at a higher speed. So that's what's going to really unlock pace through there. Because I could see you were on the right bit of the curbs, but it didn't push you wide on the exits. That suggests we weren't going that fast. That's looking better. Look at that delta. Green, green, green. Okay, so that's good. Your entry into Parabolica there was looking really good. And that looks like you're going to just sneak an all-time best as well. So that was a real decent run through there. Now you can build on that. So don't be too greedy on the brakes into here. So you can now get back on the throttle way earlier for that second Lesmo, because the speed you went through there, it didn't even push you near the curb, let alone on it. You should be going so fast through there that you have to go on the grassy curb on the exit. I'm just going to watch back through there as well.
I think it was a little too deep on those first two.
I think we overslowed it into there as well. You're really getting used to Parabolica now. Like I see it going green quite nicely. It's just going to be a case of perfecting it. But I think where we're losing the time is definitely like earlier in the lap.
Yep.
So we want to be quite a lot on this apex curb at turn 1.
I know I overslowed, but I think that's better than kind of going in out of control.
Yeah, we can build up from there. Okay, good effort through there. Nice. So remember, high speed entry to this one now.
Still gave me an off track.
You are much quicker through the second, Lesmo. And I still think you turned in a little early for that one, just like a few meters. But yeah, the first one we turned in a little too late and missed the apex. But you still got a nice gain there. That's more like it. That's more like it. Right. More of that.
That was good.
And if we add that to a good parabolica as well, then we're looking good. That was a little late on the turn in there. I saw you were all the way down at the painted area. So you can send it in earlier, little earlier and quicker.
Okay.
That was like one of the latest you've done for sure. I'm just watching it back now. Yeah, you basically got all the way down to the green paint and had too much time to brake, if that makes sense. You're going to encounter some gravel there next time round.
Yeah, right.
That's nice through there. That looks decent. Okay, so that was all really nice. You can still turn a tiny bit later for second Lesmo. That's why it pushed you wide. But it was really close to perfect that time. And obviously a nice gain on the Delta too. Really good line into there and really good entry speed. That's exactly how it should feel. And 3/10 better, obviously, which is lovely. You basically just threaded the needle. You treated it like it was high speed rather than a really tight left. So don't go all the way down to the paint this time. We'll just edge it in slightly sooner and start to squeeze the power and go out to the green. Okay,
Yep.
yeah, so that's all right. Don't worry about that. I'll see exactly why that happened. Maybe it was a tiny bit too much entry speed, but I'm just watching it back. It was just full throttle too soon. Okay, so you actually sent it in really well on the early part there, really really well. But just on the apex, you have to be like half throttle until it rotates better, and then commit to full throttle. Nice line through turn one. Yeah, so at the final corner there, at the Parabolica, it was just that you went to full throttle too soon. You sent it in really nicely,
Right.
Good speed, good line. It didn't have a chance to like grip up and then go. So just hover around half throttle for like another second or half a second. Good line into there. This is decent, this one. So just fractionally later into this second one, so you don't go wide, just a tiny bit later. Good stuff. Okay, and now you felt that, now you can commit to that throttle earlier. If you do that line, you can get back to full throttle slightly sooner. But that was really good. And do your nice threading the needle, high speed, small steering inputs into here now.
I was committed.
Yeah, I'm just watching it back. Yeah, we just ended up clipping the first sausage curb a little bit. Well done for hanging on. Yeah, so this time, when you go into Parabolica, when you're at the apex, don't go straight to full throttle. Just wait, and then you go for it.
Sorry if I had a little bit of a stutter. It does
Yeah,
that.
it's all right. Yeah, I just saw it had some kind of connection glitch or something like
Better.
that. Really nice. This is
Yeah, that
this looks like it's coming together now.
Except I hit that sausage curb at the second part of the chicane.
Yeah, just nibbled up the edge of it and it bumped you slightly wide, didn't it?
But going in felt pretty good.
Yeah. So we can still use quite a lot more curb there. So all of the trickiness of the second part was because we were a little bit late getting it up on the curb. And if it was impossible to turn earlier, then probably a little bit late braking. You're doing well though, the good bits are coming together, it's just, we just need to keep doing it until that is like the natural feeling way of doing it. Already though, second Lesmo and Ascari here, and Parabolica are all looking like much more like they should look. So good use of the curb. I think we might have been going slightly quick when you got there. So what were
Gave
we?
me an off track.
169. Let's see what I am there. Okay, so you're actually identical speed to me at the apex of Ascari, but I guess you must have gone in slightly shallower because you hit that sausage curve. Yeah, that's why. Getting close though. Just watching you back through Parabolica. Yeah, so now you're coming off Parabolica almost too easily, so we can go a little bit earlier on the throttle. We'll find that happy medium. Oh, it was, the delta was so good, wasn't it? I was like, ooh, this is good. We're at like 0.
I didn't slow it down enough, and I don't know.
I'm just watching it again. Yeah, so we didn't use enough of the first curb because it locked up.
Right.
And then we didn't use enough of the second curb because we couldn't get the rotation back to the left quick enough. And yeah, it just compounded. Okay, you can still use more of that, but well done. That's your best. You know, it's nice and green on the delta, but there's even more of that first curb you can use. So I know there was an off track, but at least that was a purple through there. I know it feels a bit scrappy, and it's, you know, we're not doing like a bunch of clean laps, but I just want to keep the pressure on you to not leave entry speed on the table, because when you combine the speed and the accuracy, it's going to be really fast.
Oh, I carried a lot of speed going into that first part of Ascari.
Right,
I think, anyway.
Let's see a good Parabolica this time. That's it. That's it. Now you can keep your foot down. Good stuff. So now you've got that middle part pretty well sorted. You can see obviously the delta bar going, you know, in the right direction on the exit. So now we just need to maximise the entry speed and still keep that really good exit like you had that time. Okay. More cautious apex at turn 1, and then you'll be really quick on the exit. That was, I think we cut turn 1 a bit too much. I think it felt like it on board. I'm just watching it back now.
Yeah, it gave me a slowdown.
Yeah, I'll clear that.
It's actually interesting how much I was able to take without it unsettling the car, and felt better.
Yeah, you were about like, you know, half a meter too far on the curb, but I'm not going to tell you off. That was a great exit. That is how quick you can go through there. And that was just slightly too optimistic through there. The entry was good though. The entry was actually good. It was just like we didn't carry on slowing it up to the apex. There wasn't enough of an additional speed reduction between your great turn in and the apex. We just arrived at the apex still with a bit too much momentum. That's nice. You're definitely getting better at this high speed stuff. We just have to keep going, basically. That's all there is to it. We just have to keep going until it's all good, rather than a good entry, but we end up going a bit too wide, or vice versa. Okay, then we can get on the gas. Good. Okay, nice. And now we should get that good exit as well. Yep, nice. It is coming together. Okay, so turn 1, same again, but just don't completely cut it. Nice and tidy, let's go. Good stuff. Really nice and tidy.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was my best one, I think.
and now we want the next chicane exactly like you did it before. Like the same amount of curve, the same entry speed. It was all really nice. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, you got this. Lovely. Well done. Really nice, man. This is a great lap.
Still time for me to mess it up.
You've been decent through here. It wasn't your best Ascari, but that'll do for this lap. That'll do. Let's have a similar parabolica to last time.
That I feel more confident of.
And then we can get on it. Yeah, nice. So that technique you're doing there now is really, really good. I think you can still now carry a bit more speed through the apex and get to full throttle slightly earlier, because now it's not pushing you all the way out to the green. But that's great. So that's your best. That's your best time ever, isn't it? Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Let's do another few of those if we can. Great amount of curb at turn 1. Really good. So that's 2 pretty consistent first corners there now. I think that was a bit too brave on the brakes, so you just bring the braking point back.
I was thinking
slightly.
about the turn and not the brake.
Yeah, that was quite a lot more speed past the apex than I would attempt. So, but just keep going. Oh, lovely! Oh, you're so much more confident in those high-speed Lesmo corners now. It's nice. And remember, we just want to use maximum first curb here up to the sausage curbs and not on top of them. Good. And at that line, you could actually get back to full throttle earlier, because that was really fast and accurate. And you almost weren't expecting it to be so accurate, so you delayed the gas slightly. If you can do it like that, you can just go bam, straight back to full throttle. And back to full throttle early here as well. That's it. Just run with it. Lovely. Oh, the final couple of sectors on this lap were brilliant. So maybe let's do one
other
more.
Than that second chicane, I think.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, so just don't try and be super duper brave into the braking zone on this one. It's all about climbing over the first curb and getting a great exit. Tiny bit too soon back to full throttle, that was all.
Thought I had it.
I think we'd do one more attempt after this, but if not, we've actually got a nice piece of data there to do our like notes on in a moment. That was a bit too early going in that time. That was like just a little bit of an early turn in. And there was a moment on the way to the first curb where it's like, oh shit, yeah, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of see the angle was just an impossible one at that speed. But generally, you're really good into there now. Nice. Yeah, really, really good there.
Is this the right angle to take, kind of going across the pits and drifting over?
I don't quite tighten it up that much. I'll show you what I do in a moment. I do try and take a short line, but I don't quite go as extreme as you there. I don't think it makes that much difference. Ooh, very brave on the brakes. That was just one of those examples where, yeah, it's like you really, really late on the brakes, but it actually slightly harms you in the middle because it delays you getting in and through the middle of the corner. But not terrible, though.
It didn't feel late on the brakes until the end when I realized I had too much speed.
Lovely speed through there. Shame it bounced you into the gravel, but the speed on the entry was great. Ah, yeah, it was just the sausage curb in the middle, wasn't it? That's okay. Finish this lap anyway. I think we'll probably use the one from 2 laps ago to look at. Good line in. Yeah, nice. If you can keep nailing it like that, that corner is really good. That's it. Then you can get on it. Let's go. Really good. Yeah, you're really, really good through Parabolica now. And that, yeah, that's basically the line I take, but, you know, there or thereabouts.
Let's just see how this turn 1 goes.
Yeah, do it.
Stop.
Okay, so it was all good, but you came off the brakes a bit too soon, I think. You got it over that first curb nicely, and then you kind of ended the brakes. I can even maybe hear throttle, but a bit too soon. So yeah, just accuracy in the middle of that is definitely the key. Right, let's load your data from a couple of laps ago and see how it looks. But good effort, man. You gained quite a bit of time there. What was best for me, though, was that you were consistently getting some of those trickier parts right. Oh, it deleted our previous best. I'll bring that back in just a sec. Which one was it? It was that one. Right, so that one can be red. That one can be green. Right, let's have a look and make some notes. Okay, so turn 1, your braking point's now better. Yeah, and you're losing a lot less time through turn 1. It was half a second through there up to the next, through that Curva Grande. And now it's not. Now it's half that. So that's great. Really, really good. And you can see on the speed trace, like, look at where you're braking and where I'm braking, just how similar the green and the blue brake trace is now, and how it slows down like the same. So you were a tiny bit too quick in the middle bit on that lap when we're starting to, you know, split hairs. Tiny bit too quick there, which then pushed you wide on the exit. But you're fine now when you nail it. So just keep nailing it. In fact, I should make the notes on that one. So I think so I don't think you need to work on that so much, just trying to maintain it. This bit here, right, so
yeah, I think it's just being careful, you know, as long as I can get the speed into that first curb correct, then just being patient and not over applying pressure.
If I can use my keyboard properly. So basically what you've switched from, that kind of gentler braking where you try and go into the corner faster but without using the curb, that's now finished, and now the green and the blue are doing like the same thing. You didn't come off quite as well as me, but you came off better than you did before, and you're going in quicker. So just tweaking it that way and using more curb is definitely helping. And look at the position over the curb now. The only reason it's slightly slower here is because you have turned in a little earlier, and we're still not maximising the width out to the side just here. You know, I'm still slightly wider, and because you've gone in shallower, and you've arrived at the curb at a slightly shallower angle than me, that's what's pushing you that bit wider in the middle. But you're still buying yourself a bunch of lap time compared to the red line because of how much extra curb you're using. So if you can use that extra curb and go in tiny bit later, like just tweak the turn-in point so you're not edging in that bit too early, then you'll have the benefit of what the blue line has here, which is just a much easier exit path. But it's way better, like way better. When you look at the delta, so here, so before you were going from 6/10 down, and then by the turning point here, you'd lost 6/10. Now you're going from like 2/10 down to 4/10 down. So it's like a 4/10 gain now that you're making through there compared to your previous run. So that's really good. All right, let's look
Did
at
I drop down to second like you are? Or
I didn't notice. I didn't notice you weren't dropping down to second. Yes is the answer. I should have spotted that. Well done for seeing that. I didn't even glance down at the gears. So yes, that's also going to be pushing you deep. So yes, use second. It will help you rotate and it will help you come off quicker. So part of this lack of acceleration on the exit is the fact that you're in third when you get back on the gas. So yeah, you use that and don't worry about it spinning the wheels and spinning you on the exit. It doesn't really do it. The car's not got that much power. So I never was struggling on exit. So that might also give you the confidence to slow it down that bit more on the apex, because you're still going through the apex like 8-9k quicker than me. So going down that extra gear might make you feel it's okay because the revs are still high. So I'll come off better. Well spotted. Then the Lesmos. Okay, so you're still going in a little slower than me, but you're getting back to full throttle quicker than you were before. That's why you're faster through there now. So you're getting that good exit for it now. So now we're back a little bit more to that swings and roundabouts I was talking about before, where you're going in slower, but you are actually also coming off better than me now. So what's the delta? 442, and here. Okay, so you're losing half a tenth now instead of a couple of tenths that you were before. So you can carry on doing it like that. I wouldn't worry. If you can keep nailing it like that and it feels comfortable, then do it. That's fine. It's just we're just doing slight different technique. This one is now way different to what you were doing it before. Like way different to Lesmo 2. So you are slowing it down slightly earlier than me, but you're going through the middle here slightly quicker. So now what's the difference? 5/10 to 5/10. Really good. You're not really losing anything at all. And before you were going 1.4. Oh, you were only losing a tenth in that short sector. Obviously, if you then carry on down the straight, it was more. But yeah, what you're doing there now on a good lap is really good. And look at where you're getting back on the gas compared to before. Like, you're now so much earlier on throttle because you're not pushing through the apex understeering. So your line tweak is good. You're still going in shallower than me though. Look, even on that good lap, look how much earlier it's still edging in. So there's still, and it felt like it when I rode on board with you too. So there's still a little bit of scope for just delaying the main turn, but you know it's fine. It's completely fine now because you're actually carrying extra speed, so that's good. Ooh, Ascari chicane didn't go that well on this lap, did it? So interestingly, you were actually slower through Ascari than you were on your previous run, but I think on later laps you did this better. Sorry, I didn't actually make any notes here. I'll make one in the middle. Although your speed compromise is different, the outcome is really similar. So I would work on making your version the best it can be in terms of just being like tidy.
All right.
I don't want to like force you to change it more when you're not actually suffering a time loss doing it your way. So just do it the best you can, basically. Just like don't go off on the exits.
Right.
And then Ascari, this definitely isn't right on this lap. We missed the curb, didn't we? Yeah, we went in too late. So I'm just going to say, on other laps, you nailed this. On this particular one, we weren't too fast in. We didn't make the curb. If I could type well, this would be so much easier. Yeah, so you actually went in relatively slow on this one, but still didn't make it. So I think that's just like just turning in a bit too late, probably. Like, I think that's all it is. Like focusing on really getting it stopped rather than like edging it in. But similarly, you don't want to go in too soon. So when you do gradually turn in, you've got to make sure it is very smooth. If you look at our steering angle difference, the green one is like, yeah, at this point here where I've got like 6 degrees on and the green one's still straight, and now I've got 8 degrees, and now another few meters on. Now you're starting to go on, so you're like you're just behind me. I'm already on my way in, and then when you get in, you're like way more steering angle because you're understeering wide. So I've started with less, but then you're having to do way. Sorry, I've started with more. Sorry, it started earlier, but then you're having to do way more as a maximum because you've gone in with less. But conversely, if you go in too early, it'll be even worse. So it's just finding the exact right time, and that's easier said than done. But when you did it well, you nailed it. So don't let that one affect you too much, because I think you do actually know how to do it. And now Parabolica, look at the difference through there, way better. And as I suspected, we're still slightly too slow on the way in, but way better than before. Like way better. You're not like stopping it and then speeding up. You're actually letting the car carry entry speed. But the fact that you're still able to exit where the green is there shows me that you probably could be carrying a little bit more here. I'm just trying to avoid any scrub. So I'm turning as little as I can get away with, but then by here still taking a short run to the line. You see by there, but I'm just doing it in like a slightly more gradual way. So I'm not applying more steering angle than necessary in that crucial early acceleration phase. I'm trying to like let the engine pick up revs with less steering angle at that point and carry a little bit more entry speed.
Using more steering angle than I did on the previous lap too, right?
Yes.
That's the green one.
Here you are, but that's more early in the corner because you're going faster than you were before. So, but you don't need it. You're right to point out you're probably using more than you need, because I'm going quicker than you here, and I'm using less steering angle. So you can probably get away with less, and it will still turn the same. You just, turning it this much and turning it this much could have exactly the same rotation if that much is with a bit of scrub. So just make sure you're not overturning the wheel through there and scrubbing a bit of extra speed. But I'm actually gonna give you a green tick. Aside from a slight extra amount of entry speed and a slight early tightening of the exit. Sorry, I've flipped that the wrong way around. You can carry a slight amount more extra speed on the entry, and we probably don't want to do this bit, and a slight, hang on, I'll put it this way. It's not very good grammar, but I know what I mean.
I got you.
You're basically there, apart from two small things that won't make that much difference. The entry speed will make some difference, but that exit tightening, if you carry the entry speed, you won't be able to do that exit tightening anyway. So that's really it. Like you're back on the throttle hard. This is all nice. You're able to get on the power a bit earlier than me here because you're going slower. So if you carry a bit more speed in, you will have to delay that. We saw in one of the other laps, we went to full throttle too early here, and that really pushed you wide. So if you carry that extra speed, you're just going to have to wait and then smoothly get back on. It's kind of like a tiny moment of hovering. But it's only like I'm off the brakes here at 5159, and I'm on the power there. So it's like 15 meters of not doing anything. But 15 meters at 170k is a fraction of a second, really. So it's just a very slight delay and then smoothly on. So you just won't be able to do that. If you find you're pushing too wide when you try and carry extra entry speed, it's because of that, probably. So just remove the throttle input until it rotates. But in general, that's a big, big gain you've made there. Like a 1 second step, actually. So
Yeah.
I think that's really good. So go do some more, basically.
All right.
And enjoy the racing. And I might actually even see you out on track, because I'm going to try and do some.
All right. Well, I don't think we'll be in the same splits, but fair enough.
It depends how many people are doing it.